Don't drill holes, folks. Hi there, I'm Jack with Sioux Dent Repair. So today we're working on this 2016 Lincoln MKX. It has some pretty good sized door dents in the right front door here. In order to gain access to the damage, to actually push this damage out using Paintless Dent Repair, we actually have to pull the door panel assembly off, as well as remove the door glass from this door in order to gain access and push the damage out. Before we talk to you about the disadvantages of drilling holes in vehicles, we're going to go ahead and start off with the repair, so you can kind of see what we had to do here. So we ended up taking out the door glass here so we could gain access to the top part of the door. If you'd like to know why we actually had to pull the glass out of this specific vehicle, click on the link in the top right of this video. Now that we're all done, it's time to reinstall the glass. So now that I have the glass installed, I actually have to roll the window up so I can go about putting the rest of the components in. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this window rolls up and down nicely before I go ahead and put all this back together, obviously, because that would really suck to have to take this apart because of a alignment issue. There's not really any alignment at all, actually, though. It only goes in one spot. There's no problem, but I always want to check everything before I put it all back together, for that matter. Now that we have all of that back together, I can go ahead and start putting these components back in. This is just a cover for the window motor. I had to pull this out in order to inspect and see where to disconnect the front mechanism, or the front latch for the glass, actually. Before I get too involved in this, I actually have to spray some anti-rust proofing spray on this. Because the last thing I want is for this to rust out because I scratched the backside with a tool. So I had to take the speaker out here, actually, in order to gain access also to the area. So I popped this off first to see how the area was for, to see where the disconnect was for the front release for the window. And then in order to actually get my hand up in there, you can go through here, but it's kind of difficult having two spots to kind of get my hand in there and push with the tool and get the clip undone. That's why I ended up taking the speaker out. So traditionally we end up actually billing to have the speaker removed when glass is taken out, because about 90% of the time I end up having to take it out. Two reasons: it's in the way, and it makes getting the window disconnected substantially easier. So that's normally a pretty common thing. So next we installed a vapor barrier, which covers, basically it creates a seal between the inner panel area and the outside, and it prevents wind noise, moisture, all that kind of stuff from getting inside the vehicle, well, from getting inside the door panel, I should say. So the big thing is to make sure all of these plugs and whatnot are in the right spot and actually plugged in. All these little holes and stuff like that were covered prior need to be covered adequately, or just like the factory, because this sensor right here. Now, what is this? This is a door pressure sensor. What this does is, in the event of a collision on the side, it actually detects the amount of air pressure. That's why this is very important to have back in place and not have tears or rips, or have it all glued exactly how it was, because this sensor actually detects the pressure in the door and how hard it was hit. And typically airbags in the side of the vehicle and in the passenger compartment, well, actually most airbags, they actually have multiple settings for how much they essentially blow up. So an airbag might have a single stage for essentially a lightweight person, so like myself, or somebody that's maybe a little bit bigger and whatnot. They'll actually have a heavier set, or a two-stage setup, to where it'll actually fire essentially two airbags out of, say, the dash, for instance, over here. So it'll actually be a bigger airbag to absorb the bigger weight of the person, and they have weight sensors in the seats and everything. So that's something to really keep in mind. So next time you if you're getting a dent repair priced out and the company or technician says that they're gonna drill a hole, huge no-no, because that throws off this airbag pressure sensor in the door. That throws off size of the airbag, it's gonna blow up, timing of the airbag, it's an absolute no-no. So don't drill holes, folks. Don't go to people who drill holes in cars. Another thing that's really nice about having a scan tool, and it's actually required on, heck, I think almost every manufacturer nowadays, is that a car needs to be pre and post scanned prior to doing any types of repairs. So you're probably wondering, what the heck does a computer diagnostic scan tool have to do with paintless dent repair? Well, the days of just making sure the components in the door, like the window for instance here, rolls up and down correctly is just not the case anymore. That's just not how you go about fixing cars. Now cars need to actually be scanned with a computer to ensure that they are communicating correctly with the corresponding components in the vehicle. So for instance, like here, you know, even with that speaker being detached, even with me unplugging the battery and everything to do these repairs, the system will still detect that the battery was disconnected, and it'll throw off a code in the car that'll indicate that now obviously a speaker is not, you know, we want to make sure the car leaves exactly how it left. So if it didn't have a speaker code before, obviously we want it to leave that same way. So that's why we invest and partake in the advancements in this industry and actually do what manufacturers say to do. Obviously, you want the vehicle repaired to how, example, Lincoln, Ford, says that it should be repaired, right? Okay, that's what we're following here by doing those guidelines. So we've got the door all put back together here. I'll leave this out for a moment, just make sure everything works. So I'm gonna do a hard check and actually make sure everything works. And then after this, I will actually, yep. So, okay, that just confirmed that the locks work because the car will honk when the key's in the vehicle. So unlock, made sure the window switch works. This guy up here is blinking, or will blink, I should say. And we are good to go and put this back together. All right, so now we can go ahead and run a diagnostic scan on this vehicle again. Now by running a scan after the vehicle's been repaired, that ensures all the components that were working prior are still working. We want to make sure that there's no new codes, nothing is throwing off any new things have happened to the vehicle. So what we may or may not see here is it might show a code for window switch being disconnected, a speaker being disconnected, potentially even the mirror or the door control module of some kind. Every car manufacturer is different, but there may be a code for something and sometimes there's not. But we have to make sure that there is no codes with a scan tool. So we're gonna go and run a post scan here. All right, so we hope you learned something in this video here. If you enjoyed anything you learned or did learn anything, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you can see some of the newest content that we deliver, whether it be tools, tips, tricks, actual dent repairs, customer reviews, help with identifying components in your own vehicle, even walking through, taking things apart and everything like that. We're gonna have some videos coming to that here shortly. Anyways, so we appreciate you watching. Thanks.